And are you on any regular medication?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Just taking your blood pressure now. And we just got to check your heart rate.
And are you allergic to anything?
The careful planning and scripting of the scenario, which has been mapped to the appropriate curriculum, in this case for foundation doctors, now comes into play. The scenario should challenge learners to explore areas of clinical knowledge and skill within a multidisciplinary team environment.
Just put oxygen on you.
Okay, we're going to put some oxygen on you.
So his blood pressure is 102 systolic. It's a little bit low, isn't it?
It can also explore many non-technical skills that are essential to the effective practice and development of medicine. These include team working, communication, leadership, and crisis resource management. As well as the learners, a faculty member is in the simulator, such as a nurse. They play an important role, firstly as a link between the control room and the learners, and secondly to assist them to explore various learning objectives. If need be, they can provide appropriate information and direction, and help steer the scenario back on course if the learners have difficulties. Depending on the scenario, more than one faculty member may be present.
I'm starting to feel really dizzy now.
The technical control and direction of the simulation is managed by the faculty in the control room. It's usually a dynamic and enjoyable experience.
You have to think on your feet. I've got to pay attention to what they're doing to the mannequin, what the nurses are doing, when I need to communicate with the nurse, and alter my voice. Getting more drowsy, then I got to imitate that going on, but at the same time got to keep in touch with what we want to do with the scenario in the larger perspective, as well as what objectives we want to achieve from that scenario. High fidelity simulation, involves very detailed aspects that you can sort of control. You can make his airway do different things. You can make his lungs do different things. You can make his heart do different things. And, you can even program him to have a set program. You can program him to have different drugs.
Meanwhile, the other learners view their colleagues from the observation room. It's important that they remain actively involved, so we've developed a targeted watching model, where they're responsible for particular aspects of the scenario feedback, such as effective communication or team working, or they may be asked to provide general feedback. Working to this model, they're more likely to participate positively in the debrief sessions. Once the scenario has achieved the required learning aims, it will be terminated at a suitable point, usually by the faculty in the control room.
That's the end of the scenario, guys. Well done, guys.
The learners are given a few minutes to wind down and reflect on how the scenario went before the debrief commences.
Well, that's the end of the scenario. How did it go?
It usually starts with the two learners describing and reflecting on what events occurred, what went well, and what could be improved.
We've moved away from the traditional debrief in order to develop a more reflective approach. This takes the form of a professional conversation where learners, observers and faculty construct meaning together. The role of the active observer is particularly important in building up a shared experience. The faculty member is crucial, needing a skill set that will allow them to develop learning points as they go through the professional conversation. Critical feedback is particularly important so that learners can close the loop of their learning, and they really rely then on those leading the professional conversation to give them some structure.
The debrief usually lasts between 10 and 20 minutes.
Yeah, could you do that for me? Okay.
The day continues with a succession of scenarios, with the learners taking turns being the lead or the seconder. Each scenario is designed to explore different areas of practice, the curriculum and non-technical skills. The session will usually finish with a group discussion, reflecting on what has been learned during the day, and considering areas in general that the learners might like to develop or explore. The importance of confidentiality is stated, and learners should be offered the opportunity to discuss privately any concerns they may have had with their performance during the day.
We've moved away from traditional tick box evaluations because they tend to close down learning. Our emergent practice entails reflective writing, where learners can actually think carefully about the experience and construct their thoughts in a piece of critical writing. This feedback from learners really helps us to revise and enhance our simulation scenarios in the future.
At medical school, you are taught the A, B, C, D, E approach to looking after a patient who's just deteriorated, but you never apply it until you're on the wards. So simulation is a place where you can put that into practice, and you can also get feedback from it, so things that you may have done differently if things didn't go according to plan.
In this course, we've shown you the basic elements of running a simulation day, including what curriculum-led simulation is, its purpose, who should deliver it, and the key elements when planning and running an effective simulation session. If you would like to become involved, then contact your local simulation faculty for further information. This module will finish with a small assessment of what you've learned.